Amazing transformation. Poor girl's shocking request to sleep in a doghouse reveals Millionaire. Emma clutched her sketchbook tightly against her chest, her heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. The flickering overhead light cast shadows across the shabby old house, deepening the lines of worry etched on her mother's tired face. Just one more bill, her mother muttered, rubbing her temples like they might relieve her mounting stress. It was in this dim light, with the weight of their financial struggles pressing down on them both, that an unexpected idea sparked in Emma's mind. Could she truly ask her mother to let her sleep in the doghouse? The thought was shocking, absurd even. But it wasn't just about being unconventional. It was about illustrating their fierce bond forged in the darkest corners of their lives. As a girl scorned for her dreams in a town where ambition felt like a distant illusion, she craved a way to show how their love could shine despite their circumstances. Yet, as she weighed the absurdity of her choice, another fear clawed at her. Would it hurt her mother more than help? Walking into the small backyard was eerie, the wooden doghouse a formidable silhouette against the night sky. Thoughts of laughter from classmates echoed in her mind. "Dream big, Emma," they'd tease, their voices mocking her vision of a brighter future beyond their little town. Could this be her moment to prove them wrong? Or would it only serve as another reminder of their impoverished reality? The conflict twisted in her gut. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, climbing into the cramped space, surrounded by the scent of damp wood and dog hair. Emma's heart thudded in her chest. Each breath felt like a weight pressed against her ribs. Would anyone understand the intention behind her bold move? The vulnerability stirred deep within her. She imagined sharing her story online, unleashing her fears and dreams onto a platform where anonymity might soften the sting of judgment. As she scrawled her narrative onto the glowing screen, doubt flickered like the dim overhead light. Was it truly worth the risk? In the subsequent days, her story spread like wildfire, captivating the hearts of strangers and echoing in the hearts of those who, like her, had experienced struggles. However, instead of the elation she expected, Emma felt trapped under a heavier burden. Every notification set off a wave of anxiety, a feeling that she had to live up to the narrative she created. What if those who reached out now saw her art not as a reflection of her heart, but merely a facade? As she prepared for an upcoming competition, she leaned against her drafting table, gripping her pencil. Perched between aspiration and self-doubt, Emma wrestled with the looming deadline, the weight of her mother's pride resting heavily on her shoulders. Just as the world seemed at her fingertips, an undeniable truth hit her like a freight train. She had yet to fully understand the sacrifices her mother made. The walls of her mind closed in, pressing on her resolve. Would she step into the unknown or cling to the familiar chains of doubt? Emma's thoughts spiraled as she sat in harrowing silence, the weight of responsibility looming larger than life. The deadlines felt suffocating now, each tick of the clock a taunting reminder that time was running out. She glanced at her sketchbook, the pages filled with various designs and inspirations, remnants of her fervent creativity. Yet now they felt like mere paper, a distraction from the growing storm within. The truth hit hard. The attention her story attracted was a double-edged sword. It promised connection yet fostered immense pressure. What if she failed? What if her drawings, the voice of her aspirations, fell flat in that competition? Each stroke of the pencil felt like a gamble, deciding not only her path but also the dynamic with her mother, her unwavering supporter. Pushing back against those ominous thoughts, she forced herself to breathe deeply. Emma recalled the countless late nights spent sketching together with her mother, laughter intertwined with stories of hope and dreams. The struggles had been enormous, but they had also forged a sanctuary. Wasn't that the essence of her art, to capture the beauty buried beneath hardships? The realization began to ignite a spark within her. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the wooden floor, and confronted her reflection in the nearby window. The girl staring back bore traces of both desperation and determination. She grappled with the constant tug of shame. Was she seeking attention or authentic connection? As much as she tried to express her journey, she now felt an internal clash brewing. Her creativity yearned for freedom, while the spotlight chained her to expectations. What if she let go of the pressure to impress? What if she poured her raw honesty and doubt onto the canvas instead? Emma envisioned her art vulnerability could shine through. If her sketches captured not only dreams but also the persistent struggle, it could resonate more profoundly. The more she mulled over her creative process, the more she embraced the notion of authenticity. It felt liberating, though disconcerting, to recognize that her struggles made her unique. With a clearer resolve, she returned to her desk, grasping the pencil as if it were an extension of her heart. Unleashing thoughts fluidly, she filled the blank pages with depictions of her fears, her mother-esque kindness, and the unexpected bond formed in sorrow. Each stroke transformed her narrative into something rich and complicated, a depiction of grace under pressure. In that moment, she could feel the burdens begin to lift. The act of creating was once again hers alone, an exploration free from external judgment. However, just as conviction surged through her veins, the clattering of her phone broke the trance. Notifications flooded in, a message from a familiar name, the competition's organizing committee, followed by a surge of comments on her previous post. The sea of messages felt overwhelming, each one a reminder of the challenge that awaited her. Emma hesitated, fingers poised over her phone screen. Should she type out a response, or would ignoring it signify running away? The nagging anxiety rose again, and with it, another question morphed in her mind. Would she dare to share this newfound clarity with her followers, portraying not just the triumphs but the alchemy of doubt that forged her art? As the weight of that decision settled, Emma felt a deeper connectivity pulsing in her, the realization that sharing her imperfect self could lead to authentic understanding and growth, not just for herself, but for others too. Determined, she opened her sketchbook once more, ready to illustrate her journey with honesty. But she also sensed that a pivotal moment was on the horizon, a confrontation with the impending competition that could solidify or fracture her burgeoning self-awareness. The moment was nearly upon her. Would Emma rise to the challenge? Would she remain authentic or put up a facade to succeed? Each question was an unlit fuse, vibrating with potential energy. And as she prepared to dive into her next sketch, she understood that her greatest battle was just beginning. Staring at her sketchbook, Emma steeled herself against the weight of external expectations. The canvas before her was blank, yet it felt filled with potential not just to succeed, but to reveal her truth. She grasped the pencil firmly, letting the lead embrace the paper as she breathed in, filling her lungs with determination. The first stroke was tentative, but it etched a line of her resilience across the page. She began drawing spaces that reflected her journey, a winding path, marked with both glaring failures and simple joys. Each twist and turn captured not just events but feelings that pulsed through her, each curve a testament to her resolve to harness her experiences into a form of expression that resonated with both herself and others. Emma sharpened each detail, allowing emotions to flow in tangible forms, the swirling chaos of doubts masked in layers of color but rendered with shadows that reflected her fears about the upcoming competition. Her mother's beloved garden transformed into a landscape of blossoming dreams interspersed with the thorns of anxiety and failure, a reminder of the fragility of hope. Perspiration dotted her forehead as she worked, but with each completed piece, a profound sense of satisfaction took root alongside her worries. The clamor of notifications pulled at her focus again, a stark reminder of her online presence. Countless eyes observing her journey, would they support her authenticity, or would the unsavory mix of envy and judgment drown out her voice? She took a moment to breathe, grounding herself. Perhaps her vulnerabilities could connect with those very followers, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and unspoken fears. She would not be defined by expectations, nor would she alienate herself by striving for perfection. With a quick glance back at the messages lingering on her screen, a pulse of courage surged through her veins. Emma opened her latest post and typed with both trepidation and excitement. "Art is more than technique," she wrote. It's the alignment of heart and spirit, a reflection of our imperfections and the stories we carry. Her hand hovered above the send button, the weight of disbelief pressing against her confidence. Would this transparency draw people to her or push them away? Taking a sharp breath, she clicked post. The words left her screen like an offering. Each moment spent sketching had been a journey back to herself, and now she bestowed that gift upon the world. As messages began to trickle in, some of encouragement, others hesitant nods of recognition, her pulse quickened. She was exposing her vulnerability, stepping into the unknown, and it thrilled her, and then the sound of her phone vibrating caught her off guard. A new notification drew her attention, this time from someone she didn't expect, a well-known figure in the art community. Without a moment to ponder, she opened it. Your recent post resonates deeply. Would you be interested in collaborating? A swell of disbelief washed over her, but a tiny ember of excitement flickered within. What if this was the moment she had been waiting for? This could either lead to exposure beyond her wildest dreams or thrust her further into the spotlight she feared. As thoughts collided in her mind, questions about credibility, the possibility of success, the weight of her artistry. She realized this was uncharted territory, a defining moment demanding her clarity. Would she embrace the opportunity, or would that risk overshadow her newfound authenticity? The balance between ambition and sincerity felt tenuous. Determined to navigate through her unease, Emma took a deep breath, anchoring herself in her purpose. Just as she prepared to draft a response, a sudden wave of uncertainty crashed down. She had chosen authenticity. Would pursuing this opportunity compromise it? Her heart raced as the decision loomed before her. With the impending competition not far off, she sensed that this could either shatter her confidence or help solidify it, propelling her forward into the light she'd once only dared to dream about. Could she step through the door of possibility, or would she shy away, bound by her past doubts? Emma felt her resolve tighten. The next step could either be her liberation or her downfall. The critical choice was hers to make, and the path blazed before her, rife with potential and peril. Would Emma embrace this opportunity to share her truth, or retreat back into the safety of her walls? The stakes had never felt higher. Emma's fingers trembled slightly as she hovered over the keyboard, her heart pounding like a drum in the silence of her studio. She hesitated, the insistent thrum of uncertainty reverberating in her mind. This was more than a mere collaboration request. It was an invitation to put her voice out into the world, to stand bold against the facade of anonymity she had crafted so carefully. As she began to type her response, the words flowed more freely than she had anticipated. Thank you for reaching out. I would love to explore the possibility of collaboration. Could we discuss ideas further? She clicked send, and a rush of exhilaration washed over her. But as the adrenaline faded, a familiar dread seeped in, the fear of not being enough, of revealing herself in a way that could lead to ridicule or scorn. Standing, she paced the length of her studio, the walls adorned with her artwork, symbols of her journey, raw emotions laid bare in strokes of color. The weight of her decision settled heavily on her shoulders. Was she ready? Could her authentic expression withstand the scrutiny of a public collaboration? Questions spun in her mind, a tumultuous storm of doubt. Each piece of art had told a story, but this next venture felt like she was offering her soul. A sudden message chimed through her phone, a response from the established artist. Let's schedule a call. I'm excited about the concepts we can explore. Her stomach fluttered. Excitement warred with anxiety. Instead of feeling elated, the weight of expectation loomed larger. Could she really articulate her vision? What if she struggled to communicate her ideas clearly? She glanced at the sketches lining her desk. They were fragments of genuine self-expression, yet this situation felt starkly different. On one hand, there was a chance to grow, to expand her horizon. On the other, the fear of failure stood like a specter, waiting to grasp her resolve again. Emma tried to silence the invasive thoughts, focusing on her breath instead. She closed her eyes, grounding herself in the present. What did she truly want? Not the accolades or the external validation, but the opportunity to connect with another artist. To explore concepts that mattered to her, to finally voice what resided within. Perhaps this partnership could enhance her authenticity rather than diminish it. Returning to her desk, she clutched her sketchbook, flipping through pages filled with emotion. The wound of vulnerability had sewn threads of resilience tightly, a constant reminder of her ability to evolve. She could use this collaboration to dig deeper into her artistic identity, drawing on the experience of another to challenge her limits and expectations. Her perilous yet exciting journey of self-discovery. With renewed vigor, Emma opened her laptop again, typing out her availability for a call. There was a flutter of nerves, but also an undeniable spark of hope. Each keystroke felt like stepping closer to bridging the divide between her fears and aspirations. As she concluded the message, she noted how this step felt transformative, the act itself a declaration of her commitment to her truth and growth. She hit send, a resolute shift settling in. Perhaps she was not just an artist, but someone capable of taking risks in pursuit of her voice. But as she sat back, a new question arose: what would happen when they spoke? Would she falter under pressure, or rise to the occasion? The thought ignited a simmering tension. She wasn't just sharing her art, but inviting criticism and collaboration into her world. Would she find the courage to uphold her authenticity under someone else's gaze? The idea hung in the air like an unsung melody, teasing her with possibilities yet to unfold, and Emma felt the draw of the unknown intensifying. Emma woke the next morning with a mix of anticipation and anxiety churning in her stomach. The scheduled call with the established artist loomed ahead like a significant test. It was tempting to backtrack, to retreat into the safety of her own artistic sanctuary, where doubt was manageable and her only critic was herself. Yet, as she dressed, she took a moment to acknowledge the delicate balance between her fear and the thrill of potential growth. Her hands meticulously selected the outfit that felt true to her, sans any pretense, an ensemble that reflected her artistic spirit yet projected confidence. The act itself was a statement. She would present herself not just as an artist but as someone who belonged in this dialogue. Each accessory thoughtfully placed felt like an armor against vulnerability. After several anxious minutes of rechecking her notes, the time came. Emma clicked the link to the video call, and her heart raced as the screen flickered to life, revealing the familiar face of the established artist. He appeared relaxed, a stark contrast to Emma's current state. "Hi, Emma. Great to finally connect," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "Hi. Yes, thank you for reaching out," she replied, surprised to hear her voice sounding steadier than anticipated. Conversations flowed naturally, and the initial tension began to dissolve as they exchanged ideas. Their dialogue twisted around artistic concepts, plunging into topics of inspiration and creative philosophy. With each shared thought, Emma felt her self-doubt gradually abate. He was not the intimidating force she worried about, but a collaborator eager for mutual exploration. Yet, when he invited her to share her vision for the collaboration, the current of anxiety surged back. Emma hesitated, the fear of exposing her ideas clawing at her throat. "What if they aren't good enough?" a whisper within her shouted. Within that moment of dread, Emma conjured an image of her sketches, fragments laden with her emotions. She took a breath, rooted in the realization of her own worth. "I envision exploring the intersection of vulnerability and strength in our work. I want to create something that speaks to the raw human experience." Her honesty opened the floodgates of discussion. The artist nodded, intrigued. Every word she spoke lit a flame of familiarity. Every idea bounced back was a reflection of her budding confidence. He appreciated her perspective, posed questions that provoked deeper thought, encouraging Emma to elaborate and refine her concepts further. This back and forth began to ignite a small fire of inspiration within her, stoking her creativity. As they talked, she realized that sharing these vulnerable corners of her creativity empowered her. She was illuminating parts of herself long hidden in shadows. As their conversation progressed into more practical considerations, she started to discuss specific elements she envisioned, her hands animatedly sketching ideas in the air. The artist's enthusiasm bolstered her confidence without her even realizing it. They were building something together, layering ideas like colors on a canvas. However, as the call approached its natural conclusion, a flicker of doubt resurfaced. What if the artist found her ideas lacking? What if their collaboration ultimately fell short of her aspirations? A familiar weight began to settle in her chest. But before Emma could succumb to those thoughts, the artist smiled broadly. I love your vision. Let us delve into this further, and see what we can create together. I believe in the potential here. A sense of validation washed over Emma like a refreshing tide. The conversation had pushed her to confront her fears head-on, not just as an artist but as an individual capable of collaboration and connection. She hung up with a newfound sense of purpose, energized by the possibilities ahead. Yet, as she settled back into her studio, her mind churned with deliberation. The artist's encouragement had ignited a spark, but what if the exploration of her vision brought more doubts than clarity in the long run? Would she be able to navigate the complexities of partnership while staying true to her voice, especially when the artist's input began to collide with her deeper instincts? The confidence she had built felt precarious, like a delicate thread. As she stared at the blank canvas before her, she knew the real journey lay ahead, one that would test her commitment to her identity and growth. What awaited her would challenge everything she thought she knew about herself and her art. Would the collaboration bring enlightenment, or would it unravel her? Only time would tell as the next chapter of her artistic evolution began to unfold. Emma stared at the blank canvas, her mind swirling with thoughts from her conversation with the established artist. The echoes of his support were soothing yet haunting. How could she ensure she lived up to that potential? The aspects of her vision that felt so vital yesterday now seemed fragile under scrutiny. She picked up her brush, hesitating as she considered her next move. An urge to revert to her previous, familiar styles clashed against the awareness that such a decision would mean stifling her growth. Her fingers trembled as they hovered above the palette, a conflict forming between the comfort of tradition and the thrill of innovation. The artist's words lingered. Let us delve into this further. He had opened the door to collaboration, but now every imaginative thought felt like an invitation to judgment. What if her interpretations of vulnerability and strength didn't resonate on the same wavelength as his? Would he find them too simplistic? With a sudden clarity, she knew that she couldn't allow fear to paralyze her. Inspiration flowed from her often unchecked emotions, and it was time to trust herself. She took a deep breath, steadied her hand, and dipped the brush into an array of colors. Each stroke she made reflected not only her vision but her journey thus far, one filled with missteps and triumphs that were uniquely hers. Hour after hour passed. The blank canvas transformed into a vibrant tapestry of color. Each layer unveiled her truth, fractures embedded in warmth, shadows dancing in light. Yet, amidst this freedom, nagging doubts crept in, whispering that perhaps she was merely deluding herself with the colors she had chosen. Emma placed her brush down and stepped back to survey her work. Was it enough? Her insecurities clawed at her once more. Maybe her interpretations were too personal. Maybe they weren't universal enough to connect with the artist and, more terrifyingly, the audience. The thought of presenting her work, of opening herself to scrutiny, became almost unbearable. But within this discomfort, a flicker of determination ignited. She would not let fear dictate her journey. Her work would tell her story, regardless of approval or criticism. Taking a moment, she recalled her conversation with the artist, the natural flow of ideas and the resonance of shared creativity. That collaborative spirit had buoyed her toward new depths. If she could stand firm in her authenticity, even the most intimidating critique could meld into a stepping stone rather than a blockade. With renewed resolve, Emma picked up the brush once more. This time, she painted with a sense of liberation. Each stroke was a declaration that her artistry held value, that her story deserved to be heard. But she knew the journey didn't conclude here. Exposing herself to the artist and eventually to the world demanded constant vigilance against self-doubt. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow across her studio, she felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. This collaboration would force her into challenges not yet imagined. What if the process of melding their ideas unearthed insecurities she couldn't face? Emma stared at her canvas, and realized the artist would soon want to see her progress. Would she feel proud, or would she second-guess every decision made in these vulnerable moments? The time had come to familiarize herself with uncertainty, to embrace it, as it shaped the contours of her evolution. Her next steps could redefine not only her art but also her understanding of herself as an artist. Mounting excitement coursed through her as she thought of the upcoming meeting. The canvas could reveal shadows of doubt, but it could also radiate courage. She had to decide how she would present herself. The choice was this: to fortify her vulnerability, or to withdraw behind layers of self-doubt. Emma grabbed her phone and scrolled through her notes, her hands trembling with the challenge that lay ahead. The next day would beckon a confrontation, a conversation that would demand her credibility and discipline. This time, the stakes were higher, and the fear of displaying her soul lingered heavily within her. But she realized, it was the vulnerability that held the power to connect. Would she seize it, or allow it to slip through her fingers? The clock was ticking down to her next meeting, each moment coiling around her. How would she balance the duality of creativity and critique? Only stepping into that uncertainty would unveil her true potential. But beyond her apprehension, a deeper question brewed within. Was she ready to face the artist and herself once more, and commit to her vision even when the fog of doubt loomed heavily? The answer would begin to unfurl in the moments to come. Emma was about to find out. The next day arrived with the soft glow of dawn spilling into Emma's studio. The promise of a fresh start tugged at her, but it mingled with the raw edge of anxiety that lay just beneath the surface. She paced the small space, her mind racing, an internal battle waged with every step. Dread intertwined with possibility as she rehearsed her thoughts. What if she faltered? What if all the doubts she'd banished the night before crept back in, shadowing her once more? As the clock ticked closer to her meeting, she filled her lungs with the musty scent of the studio, allowing it to ground her. This was her sanctuary, a domestic warrior's lair where she fought and forged her path. Setting a rapid beat with her heart, she shuffled through her sketches, convinced that each line might betray her. Still, she sought clarity within the chaos, knowing she needed to present something that captured her essence. Her canvas, a riot of color, felt like a reflection of her soul. Each hue whispered secrets she wasn't sure she wanted to share. The thought of the established artist scrutinizing her work sent a shudder through her. Should she question the color choices, the emotions captured, or trust that they were a part of her? Emma bit her lip, contemplating her journey. The usual voices, those that echoed her fears and questioned her direction, reverberated louder than she would have liked. Yet something within her had also shifted. The desire to push past her insecurities prompted a flicker of courage. Steeling herself, she set a timer for 30 minutes and committed to an intense session of contemplation, allowing clarity to wash over her. Would it be enough simply to be honest about her experiences? Could exposing that vulnerability be the turning point? As she painted, her strokes became bolder. Emotions spilled onto the canvas with an urgency that surprised her. Gone were the meticulous corrections that had once held her hostage. Instead, she forged ahead, allowing her brush to fly with intention, capturing raw feelings without restraint. The vibrancy of her work mirrored her internal struggle. The fight between doubt and self-affirmation played out within each layer of paint. When the timer rang, she took a deep breath and stepped back. The piece before her was a visceral manifestation of her essence, a loud proclamation that she existed beyond previously defined boundaries. For the first time, she felt the weight of pride accompany her anxiety. It was as if she had unlocked a door she thought was forever sealed. Time slipped away, and Emma hurriedly made her way to the meeting place. The anticipation was electric, yet the tension proved exhausting. What if the artist didn't see the merit in her work? What if he deemed her journey trivial? The haunting specter of rejection stirred in her gut. However, she also sensed the shift. She was ready to abandon the weighty cloak of self-doubt, if only for this meeting. Upon arrival, the artist immediately greeted her with a warmth that eased the tension in her gut. They exchanged pleasantries, but Emma's mind was swirling. Displaying her work became less about seeking approval and more about a shared experience, the exploration of creativity. "Let us see what you've come up with," he said, leaning forward with genuine curiosity in his eyes. Emma swallowed hard, adrenaline coursing through her veins. It was time for vulnerability to take the stage. Holding her breath, she revealed the canvas, laying bare her emotions, public and personal. The silence that followed extended infinitely as she awaited his reaction. Would he be intrigued or dismissive? But beyond the fear, an understanding began to take root within her. This was not only about the reaction to her artwork, it was about how her journey, with all its complexities, found a voice. As the artist studied the canvas, she wrestled with a new revelation. Could this meeting become more than a critique? Would it challenge her to grow even further, compelling her to explore depths she had yet to uncover? The trajectory of their collaboration lay in the forthcoming exchange. With the artist's next words, Emma's world could shift, igniting her passion further or challenging her resolve in unexpected ways. What awaited her on the brink of this new artistic alliance? Her heart raced as thoughts sharpened. This was the moment that could either affirm her worth or beckon a new wave of introspection. Whatever the outcome, it was hers to embrace, a culmination of all she had faced, all she had become. The artist seemed to lean back, an enigmatic smile forming as he broke the silence. The air vibrated with anticipation. What profound truths would arise from this conversation? Emma had stepped into the fire. Now, she awaited the sparks. The artist's gaze flickered back to Emma, a mixture of contemplation and intrigue etched across his features. The silence enveloped them, punctuated only by the faint rustle of paintbrushes lying forgotten on the table. In those moments, Emma's heart pounded like a drum, each beat reverberating with the weight of what was at stake. "Your colors," he finally said, voice steady but rich with emotion, "they breathe with life. There's an honesty here that many seasoned artists can only dream of capturing." For a second, his words washed over her like a warm wave, both exhilarating and terrifying. Did he really see her, or was he merely offering standard praise? A flicker of apprehension surfaced. She had served as her own harshest critic for so long that acceptance felt foreign. What if her moment of vulnerability turned into an opportunity for critique, not approval? "Thank you," Emma managed, her voice trembling slightly, betraying the cascade of emotions washing through her. She was caught in the web of wanting to trust his insight while fearing the vulnerability she had just laid bare. The artist paused, regarding her thoughtfully. But what he didn't know about himself was that the masterpiece is not just on this canvas. He gestured around the studio, his expression shifting. "It lies within you, in the way you confront your past and express your truths." Emma felt her insides tighten. How could he perceive such depths within her? Reluctantly, she began to confront her own narrative. For years, she painted over feelings that spoke of insecurity, trauma, and fear like they were merely backdrops in her life. And now, what would it mean if her journey became part of this artistic dialogue? "Creating from the heart, it's a journey filled with layers," he continued. "Each stroke reveals another part of you. But are you prepared to unpeel those layers, to explore the emotions beneath the surface?" As she listened, Emma's instinctual response was to recoil. Delving into her complexities felt daunting, a tender spot she often shielded from both herself and others. Yet, there was an undeniable flicker of determination igniting anew within her. Perhaps this meeting wasn't meant to just assess her artwork, but to help her confront something deeper, her very identity as an artist. Stepping forward, the artist placed his hand gently on her canvas, his voice uncharacteristically somber. "Art isn't merely a reflection, it's a conversation, a dialogue between you and the world. What you have shared here invites connection but also demands authenticity. Will you allow that vulnerability to become your strength, or will you retreat into the familiar shadows?" His words kindled a flame of self-questioning. The memories of her hesitations and escapes flashed through her mind. Was she truly ready to embrace this challenge, to transform her art into a pathway for self-discovery? Or would the comfort of self-doubt continue to whisper discouragement, reinforcing her fears? "Can you guide me?" Emma found herself asking, the question escaping before she could stop it. An abrupt surge of courage filled her, laying bare her readiness to pivot from self-doubt to self-exploration. There was a time when stepping into the unknown left her paralyzed, but now, in this moment, the threshold appeared less daunting. The artist's smile broadened, revealing the warmth of genuine support. "We will explore together, revealing layers you might not know exist yet." but know that growth often emerges from discomfort. As anxiety curled in her stomach, so did excitement, weaving a tapestry of anticipation. This was not merely a critique of her work, it was the beginning of a journey where her vulnerabilities could transform into strengths. A rebirth of creativity through surreal exploration. A question loomed in her mind, one that could shape her artistic future. How deep would she dare to dig? What truths awaited her discovery in this new collaboration? As she contemplated his invitation, a new clarity enveloped her, akin to a rising dawn illuminating her path. What awaited her in this venture could redefine everything she had known. Emma had stepped toward the precipice. Would she leap or find more reasons to hold back? Her heart raced, teetering between excitement and fear. The real challenge was only just beginning. How far would she be willing to go in the name of art? Emma stood still, the weight of the artist's words echoing inside her. A burgeoning realization began to swell within her, shifting the dynamics of her artistic journey from mere creation to deeper self-exploration. To transform her art into a reflection of her identity would require unearthing hidden layers she had long buried or avoided. With an internal battle raging, she took a deep breath, focusing on the vibrant colors and chaotic strokes on her canvas, remnants of an emotional storm that mirrored her life. As she surveyed the scene, something stirred within her, a commitment to embrace the discomfort that accompanied any creative breakthrough. What if I let you guide me, not just with technique but also with honesty? She ventured, her words spilling out like paint upon a canvas. The artist's eyes lit up with approval, acknowledging her shift from reluctance to a determination that sparked curiosity. Then we begin not just by painting, but by reflecting. Let us explore, he replied, the sincerity evident in his tone. Let us make this a conversation where you bring forth your vulnerabilities, your truth. As they delved deeper into her artistic process, Emma found herself grappling with conflicting yesterdays, tangled emotions, and the stories she had hidden behind bright colors and anxiety-laden past cloaked in brush strokes. With each discussion, they peeled back facades that Emma had built, layer after layer, until the core of her art began to align with her true self. The days turned into a rhythm of creation and evaluation, oscillating between her studio and her mind. The vulnerability she feared gradually transformed into raw strength. Each painting became a reflective piece, an open invite for conversation with herself, examining how her past shaped her present. But even as courage enveloped her, shadows of doubt lingered. The paradox of wanting acceptance yet fearing rejection gnawed at her. With each revelation shared in the studio, she felt splintered. Had she exposed too much? Were the hidden aspects of herself too vulnerable for the world to understand? One afternoon, surrounded by paintings meant to evoke deep emotion, Emma confronted her unease. Am I ready for the world to see this part of me? What if they judge me, or worse, feel pity? Her voice cracked slightly, revealing the conflict buried beneath her bravado. The artist paused, contemplating her fears. Vulnerability does create fear, yet it is also the birthplace of connection. Embrace that discomfort. People resonate with authenticity. They seek truth, both in art and in life. With every brainstorming session and every layer applied, Emma decided she would lean into discomfort. The concept resonated deeply, pushing her forward. She began painting with purpose that transcended aesthetics and ventured into the territory of the communal human experience. Gradually, her canvases transformed, adopting a haunting vivacity. Abstract shapes morphed into almost representational forms, whispers of her soul captured in every stroke. Each piece came alive with emotion, as if they were alive and breathing, born from the depths of her journey down the rabbit hole of herself. Yet, as she prepared for an upcoming exhibition, an unsettling tension loomed over her preparations. What if the audience saw her work and inquired about the truths she had laid bare? Could she withstand the scrutiny of curious eyes? The night before the exhibit, the question loomed large, casting doubt over her newfound confidence. Staring at her creations, a mix of fear and anticipation flooded her senses. The culmination of her efforts felt monumental, but would she still possess the strength to confront the reactions her revelations might evoke? As she stood before her canvas, breathing in the paint and lingering sentiments, a familiar inner voice questioned her readiness, challenging her to move from introspection to action. Would she stand tall in her truth, or shrink back into fear? The moment of unveiling her journey was approaching. Emma held her breath, anxious yet exhilarated. What awaited her at this threshold would either solidify her as an artist or shake the very foundation of her identity. Perhaps the true test wasn't just about exposure. It was about embracing the truest essence of herself. The weight of her choice loomed heavy as the night deepened, and she wondered, would she choose to step forward, or run back into the shadows? The day of the exhibition dawned, and Emma stood in front of the mirror, the reflection revealing not just her physical form but also a kaleidoscope of emotions: fear, determination, excitement, and hope. Every brushstroke on her canvases was not merely an artistic choice. They bore her essence, her vulnerabilities laid bare like open wounds. Today would test her resolve. Today, she would confront the world. As she entered the gallery, the scent of fresh paint and polished wood wafted through the air, mingling with the low hum of anticipation enveloping the space. The walls stood adorned with her artwork, a vibrant testament of her journey from self-doubt to self-acceptance. With each step, her heart pounded, resonating with the memories of sleepless nights spent wrestling with her artistry. People began pouring in, a mixture of friends, family, and acquaintances, vibrant smiles masking varied expectations. Emma felt a multitude of eyes scrutinize her as she moved through the gallery, a whirlwind of anxiety and adrenaline coursing through her veins. Would they see what she intended? Would they appreciate the layers of her struggle woven into each piece? Moments stretched into what felt like eons as she anticipated feedback. Finally, a familiar face emerged from the crowd: her mother, her unwavering supporter. Emma felt that warmth envelop her, grounding her amidst uncertainty. Her mother's eyes sparkled with pride as they locked gaze. That unspoken connection reminded Emma of why she aimed to express herself. Art wasn't just about accolades but the bond it forged. Surrounded by a growing circle of admirers, Emma found herself drawing courage from their interactions. She engaged in conversations about her work, sharing her inspiration and the stories behind each piece. One viewer, a perceptive art critic, remarked, "Your vulnerability is your strength. It radiates throughout your work, inviting connection." That validation was a profound moment. Emma realized that while initially sought approval was daunting, the acknowledgement helped her reclaim ownership of her narrative. She no longer feared judgment. This was her story, told through colors, lines, and raw emotions. Each discussion unlocked pieces of her truth, fostering confidence that buoyed her spirit. As the night progressed, an unexpected surge of comfort enveloped her. Through each compliment, each acknowledgement of her struggle, she felt a blossoming sense of acceptance. It was more than just external validation. It was an affirmation of her evolution, a recognition of her commitment to authenticity. Then came the pivotal moment. The artist she had collaborated with earlier in her journey arrived, a familiar aura surrounding him. He approached with a smile, his eyes gleaming. "I see the depths you've unveiled, Emma. You've transformed the abstraction into relatable, emotive experiences." His words landed heavily, saturating her with a sense of triumph. In this moment, he wasn't just validating her work, he was admiring her growth as an artist, a person. She felt recognized not just for what she created but for who she had become. Emma had conquered her fears, turning them into a symphony of art that resonated deeply with those who stood before her. As the evening climaxed, she found herself enveloped by a group of aspiring artists, longing to hear how she bridged the gap between vulnerability and artistry. Emma shared her journey: the doghouse, the emotional turbulence, and the unexpected evolution of her self-love through commitment to her craft. She felt solid confidence, each word a testament to her growth. That night marked a pivotal chapter in her life. Emma had not only displayed her artwork but showcased her transformation from a girl weighed down by self-doubt to a woman standing tall in her truth. She had established her position in the artistic community, a voice of empowerment for others navigating their paths. Leaving the gallery, with her mother's comforting presence beside her, Emma felt an undeniable sense of fulfillment. The transformation was hers alone, not just in terms of her art, but within her spirit. She had conquered her fears of rejection and vulnerability, successfully merging them with her creative expression. Emma smiled, knowing she'd achieved something far greater than recognition. She had proven to herself that rawness could forge connections, that her journey was worthy. This realization empowered her to continue exploring her artistry. With new projects blossoming in her mind, she understood that every stroke she laid down was a testament to her strength and growth. And in that moment, she reflected on the journey, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and above all, her resilience. Empowered by her growth, she looked towards the horizon, ready to embrace the next chapter of her artistic evolution with unwavering confidence. Now is the time for you to step into your own journey. You need to subscribe now for more transformative stories of personal growth. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and theories about Emma's powerful journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this inspiring conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share.